Welcome back to the Fear and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies, and just a little bit of beer.
So kill the lights, grab a cold one, and join us as we dive into this mad world we love.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
And I'm Jamie.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You miss me.
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
And as a reminder to all listening, if you want to help us to continue growing as a podcast, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whichever streaming platform you use.
To stay up to date with us and all of our episodes, be sure to follow all of our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Fear and Beer Pod.
Feel free to reach out to us. We love to interact with you all.
And here we are, just 2 days out from Halloween Horror Nights 33, and this episode is going to be a little bit different. This is our virtual trivia episode. So right now, in recording, it is just me, Nick. You will hear from Jamie and Seamus throughout this episode alongside many other familiar voices from the HHN community. And I don't want to spoil it just that. I will thank everybody at the end for helping us out, but I kind of want to keep it a secret until you hear their voices because that's kind of half of the intrigue. So the way this episode is going to work is this is sort of like a play-at-home episode, right? This is like if you were going to trivia, you get to just like pause and play along a little bit. So the way I have this set up is each host or guest that's going to be joining us has a specific category revolving around Horror Nights or Horror Nights adjacent. They each have 5 questions for you. So I figured the easiest way to do this to score it at home is if you get it right, it's 1 point. If you get it wrong, it's no points. And if you're cheating, well, I guess you're going to get a perfect score. And you can cheat all you want because there's no prize attached to this. So go right ahead. So the way that this is going to work is we will play clips from everybody asking their questions. And the thing that I really enjoyed about this episode is that everybody did their own take on trivia. I wanted it to be left up to interpretation to some extent. You know, everyone was specifically tasked with a category and 5 questions, but the way people ask it and the way they present them are all different, and that's what I love about this episode. So you're going to have those 5 questions. Some people are a little bit harder than others. Some people have it, you know, a little bit easier, so that way you could still enjoy it, because I know when I go to trivia and it's too hard, I just snap my pencil, walk out, and leave. But like I said, they're different degrees of difficulty. Some are multiple choice. Some will go in, they'll give you the answer after, but the idea is they will ask the question, and there's a little bit of an audio gap. And that's meant to give you time at home to pause the episode, answer the question, and then hit play to resume the episode and go on to the next question. Before each person is done, they will give you the answers, so you don't have to wait till the very end of the episode. You'll get the answers by the end of that category. So I'm excited to see you all play along. Let us know the scores that you get, and let's dive into this episode. And like I said, you will hear Jamie and Seamus, and you'll even hear myself one more time later in this episode. But without further ado, let's kick off this Horror Nights virtual trivia episode.
Happy Halloween, Fear and Beer.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Lauren. And we are the Horror Nights Gauntlet.
We are an HHN ranking YouTube series.
And now we're happy to announce that we are also branching out into the podcasting scene.
So you can find us wherever you find your talking people.
But we're here tonight to present our category, IP Deep Cuts.
So these are like IPs we'd like to cut?
No, these are those IP haunts that have been forgotten by time or just weren't ever quite meant to be.
Those IPs that take their property in an all-new direction to tell their own unique stories, or the ones that have even gone on to inspire new IPs.
So, with that in mind, and without further ado, question 1. What was the very first official IP to have a haunted house at HHN Orlando? A. Tales from the Crypt. B. Psycho. C. The People Under the Stairs. D. An American Werewolf in London. Or E. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Question 2. Sometimes contracts just fall apart. Studios get hit with copyright lawsuits, movies get postponed, musical artists change their image to promote their new album. Which of the following houses was not built on the bones of a scrapped IP? Was it A, The Purge in 2015, B, Tomb of the Ancients 2016, C, Hive 2017, D, Case Files Unearthed 2021, or E, Hell Block Horror 2022?
Question 3. Not many IPs have had the privilege to return to HHN Orlando in both a haunted house and a scare zone, but even less have had both in the same year. Which of the following IPs did not have a scare zone and a house in the same year? A, The Walking Dead, B, The Purge, C, Marvel Comics, D, Chucky, or E, Jurassic Park?
Question 4. Which of the following original houses was used for the set of an actual horror movie? And for a bonus, can you name that movie? A, Cold Blind Terror, 2005. B, Body Collectors, Collections of the Past, 2008. C, Nightingales, Blood Prey, 2011. D, Roanoke, Cannibal Colony, 2014. Or E, Graveyard Games, 2019?
And question 5. Many studios have used HHN as a preview for their upcoming movies, but only one of the following IPs had a haunted maze at HHN 3 years before its film would be open to the public. Is it A, The Exorcist Believer, B, The Wolfman, C, House of a Thousand Corpses, D, Dracula Untold, or E, Crimson Peak? And how about one last bonus? What was the title of that maze?
And now, on to our answers round. For question 1, while many characters appeared in the Dungeon of Terror in 1991, the very first official IP to have a haunted house at HHN Orlando was The People Under the Stairs the following year in 1992.
For question 2, I hate to break the news, but 2016's Tomb of the Ancients was not built on a scrapped IP, although it was inspired by pulp adventure films such as Indiana Jones or The Mummy.
As for question 3, in Orlando, Chucky starred in his own haunted houses in 2009 and 2023, and he did have a dedicated scare zone in 2018, but never both in the same year.
And for question number 4, 2008's Body Collectors, Collections of the Past was the real star of the 2009 B-movie slasher Scare Zone, directed by John Benkowski.
And finally, while Rob Zombie's debut film House of a Thousand Corpses may have premiered in 2003, the world of Dr. Satan, Captain Spaulding, and the Firefly family debuted first at HHN Hollywood in 2000 as Rob Zombie's American Nightmare.
Thank you so much again to Fear and Beer for having us. Once again, I've been Lauren.
And I'm Dakota.
And we are the Horror Nights Gauntlet.
Find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast audio.
And Happy Halloween!
Hey guys, it's Cece from See You At, a pop culture podcast. And I'm here to present you with my 5 trivia questions for HHN. And this is for the Fear and Beer event. Before I do so, I would like to say, go ahead and follow me on social media. It's at See You At Podcast. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Or if you want to follow me directly on either or and TikTok, it's at CCTron. All right, without further ado, let's get those questions started. So this is thinking back on the last 5 years. This is my category, so just, keep that in mind whenever you're answering these. First question. Which scare zone did Dr. Oddfellow show up in first in chronological order? Okay, the next question. Which of these songs was not played in the Sweet Revenge scare zone at HHN 31? A, Mess Around. B, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. C, Love Me Do. Or D, Bim Bam Baby. Question 3. What was the full name of the Lagoon show from HHN30? Question 4. Which house in 2019 had a controversial scene that displayed a corpse of a dog? Question 5. The final one. Which movie from 2018's Slaughter Cinema House included the line, quote, "Eat your heart out, men. They're certainly going to," end quote? Alright, so go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and reveal the answers to each question so that you can tally up your scores. First question was, which scare zone did Dr. Oddfellows show up in first in chronological order? For HHN 32, and that was Jungle of Doom. Question 2 was, which of these songs was not played in the Sweet Revenge scare zone at HHN 31? The answer was C, Love Me Do. Question 3, what was the full name of the Lagoon show from HHN 30? The answer is Marathon of Mayhem, Carnage Factory. Number 4, which house in 2019 had the controversial scene that displayed a corpse of a dog? That was Depths of Fear. And the final question, which movie from 2018 Slaughter Cinema House included the line, quote, "Eat your heart out, men, they're certainly going to," end quote? And that was Amazon Cannibals from Planet Hell. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Thanks for everybody for listening to Fear and Beer, and hope to see you in the fog soon.
How are we doing, folks? This is Simon from the HHE podcast. You can find us on all podcast apps, and you can find us on social media at HHE Pod or at HHE Pod 1 on TikTok. I'm here, guys, to give you some trivia questions for the Fear and Beer trivia episode. So I've devised 5 questions. These questions are based on scare zones, so that's your category. Make your brain start to think of what the answers may be. In the questions, I'm going to give you the blurb from a scare zone. So in the answer, I want to get the name of the scare zone and its location, if that's okay with you guys. So what we'll do, we'll start with the very first one, and I'll just mention firstly, if there is an answer in the blurb, I will just say blank, so you can kind of try and figure out what it is. It might be one part of the answer, it might be part of the other. The joke's on you as you cross a weird, maddening landscape populated by disturbing, cartoonish freaks whose idea of fun is scaring you silly. Question 2. Break the rules, pay the price. That's the murderous morale of the 5 twisted stories in blank, blank, a darkly hilarious tribute to Halloween. Question 3. What if the blank witch had won? Because every story has more than a few sides, view Oz as it has never been seen before. In this reflection, the blank witch of the West has done away with Dorothy and seized control of the merry old land of Oz for herself. Question 4. For decades now, the city has been degraded from the elements of blank rain that still falls today, caused by factories which sprung up on the city's edges during the 20th century. Those that have lived and survived the blistering decay are all alone in the city. Survivors have stripped the city of all life to sustain their own. Dare to enter the blank blank. Question number 5. An interstellar circus has landed on blank blank. At this circus of fear, the joke's always on you. Hi guys, I hope you did well answering all them questions. Here are the answers to them questions. I'm going to reread the question and I'll give you the answers at the end. So for question number 1, the joke's on you as you cross a weird, maddening landscape populated by disturbing, cartoonish freaks whose land is fun is scaring you silly. The answer was Creeks and Foons, and the location was in Toon Lagoon. Answer to question 2 was Break the rules, pay the price. That's the murderous morale of the 5 twisted stories in blank dash blank, a darkly hilarious tribute to Halloween. The answer is Trick or Treat, and it was located in Central Park. Answer to question 3. What if the blank witch had won? Because every story has more than a few sides. View Oz as you've never seen before. In this reflection, the blank witch of the West has done away with Dorothy and seized control of the merry old land of Oz for herself. The answer was A Path of the Wicked, and it was located in Plaza of the Stars. Personally, one of my favourite scare zones ever. Answer to question number 4. For decades now, the city has been degraded from the effects of blank rain that still falls today, caused by factories which sprung up on the city's edges during the 20th century. Those that have lived and survived the blistering decay are all alone in the city. Survivors have stripped the city of all life to sustain their own. Dare you enter the blank blank? And the answer to that little blurb was acid assault, and it was in the streets of New York. And finally, answer question 5. An interstellar circus has landed on blank blank. As a circus of fear, the joke's always on you. And of course, the answer to this question was Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it was on South Street, one of the very few times it's been used on that area. If you wonder where South Street is, just between the lagoon and where Sting Alley is, just next to Starbucks. Thanks, guys. That was the HHE podcast and the category of Scare Zones. Have a good day, and thank you very much for listening.
Hey, y'all. This is Seamus, and I'm here to present the category Seamus's Favorite Houses. So I bet you can all expect what these questions are going to be about. So without further ado, let's get right into them. Question 1. What were the names of the tool Dueling Dragons? Question 2. What type of tree was Merlin trapped in against his will? Question number 3. What was this house's code name? A little bit of a tougher one. Gonna switch it up on you a little bit. Question number 4. Which movie did Monsters Legends Collide borrow heavily from? And finally, question 5. What is the Wolfman's actual name from this house specifically? All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this. Let's go through the questions and the answers. Question 1. What were the names of the two dueling dragons? They were Pyrock and Blizzrock. Question 2. What type of tree was Merlin trapped in against his will? It was an oak tree, like Professor Oak from Pokemon. Question number 3. What was Dueling Dragon's code name? It was Pineapple, as in scaly, like a dragon. Which I guess makes pineapples a little less, appetizing? I don't know. Question number 4. Which movie did Monsters Legends Collide borrow heavily from? It was The Mummy's Hand, if you've ever heard of that movie before. And finally, from Monsters Legends Collide, what is the Wolfman's actual name? It was Lawrence Talbot. I think there was a store called Talbot's, wasn't there? I don't remember. Well, again, thank you for joining us in our virtual trivia. This is Seamus once more, and see you in the fog.
Hey, everybody, this is Matt from the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights podcast, the show that is now in its 10th year, a full decade. I can't believe that. 10 years for something that was on paper a 6-month project. We do have an announcement coming up about that once Halloween Horror Nights 33 officially starts and we give our first thoughts and impressions. You'll be able to find that at neozaz.com along with all the other episodes from the past 10 years and all the other shows that we've been doing for even longer. So, considering the age of the show and the fact that I'm likely the oldest person featured in this episode, my trivia subject is going to be all about the legacy of Halloween Horror Nights, things that have come and gone and will probably come back throughout the 33 years of Halloween Horror Nights. So, here we go. Question 1. Longtime Halloween Horror Nights fans, keep an eye out for Old Smoky year after year. Old Smoky debuted in 2004 at Halloween Horror Nights 14 and has appeared a total of 10 times at Halloween Horror Nights and counting. The question is, what is Old Smoky? Question 2. In what town, often making an appearance at Halloween Horror Nights, could you find Shady Oak Cemetery and Funeral Home, Meets, Good Harvest Orphanage, and the WKNB TV studio? Question 3. One recurring piece of HHN legacy that is way overdue for a return to Halloween Horror Nights are the body collectors. The last time we saw them was at Halloween Horror Nights 25. What place, also a part of HHN's legacy, did the body collectors invade when we last saw them? Question 4. Not every Halloween Horror Nights event features an icon, but when they do, it's usually a welcome, fun, and beloved addition to the event. But not all event icons have gotten the full spotlight they deserved. In Halloween Horror Nights 15, what event icon was dethroned from the marketing campaign in place of the storyteller? And finally, with question 5, there's no way we were going to have a Halloween Horror Nights legacy set of questions without the oldest, largest, and my personal favorite source from Universal Studios for recurring HHN themes, the Universal Monsters. The Universal Monsters have appeared a lot at HHN. List every monster, the house they were in, and the year for one more point. Just kidding. Here's a real question. Halloween Horror Nights 19, ripped from the silver screen, featured a house based on the then upcoming 2010 remake of The Wolfman starring Benicio del Toro. Taking this inspiration, Halloween Horror Nights 19 also featured 2 more classic Universal Monster houses with reimagined stories. Which 2 Universal Monsters starred in those 2 houses? Okay, that was probably pretty easy for everybody, but let's find out those answers now. Starting with question 1, the longtime HHN fans keep an eye out for Old Smoky year after year. Old Smoky debuted in 2004 at Halloween Horror Nights 14 and has appeared a total of 10 times at Halloween Horror Nights and counting. The question is, what is Old Smoky? And that answer is an electric chair. Question 2. In what town often making an appearance at Halloween Horror Nights could you find Shady Oak Cemetery and Funeral Home, Meets, Good Harvest Orphanage, and the WKNB TV studio? The answer to that, of course, is Cary, Ohio. Question 3. One recurring piece of HHN legacy that is way overdue for a return to HHN are the body collectors. The last time we saw them was in Halloween Horror Nights 25. What place, also part of HHN's legacy, did the body collectors invade when we last saw them? That answer is Shady Brook Rest Home and Sanitarium. Question 4. Not every Halloween Horror Nights event features an icon, but when they do, it's usually a welcome, fun, and beloved addition to the event. Not all icons have gotten their full spotlight that they've deserved. In Halloween Horror Nights 15, what event icon was dethroned from the marketing campaign in place of the storyteller? And that answer is the Terror Queen. And finally, question 5. Halloween Horror Nights 19, ripped from the silver screen, featured a house based on the then upcoming 2010 remake of The Wolfman, starring Benicio del Toro. Taking this inspiration, Halloween Horror Nights 19 also featured 2 more classic Universal Monster houses with reimagined stories. Which 2 Universal Monsters starred in these 2 houses? That answer is Dracula and Frankenstein's Monster, and those houses were Dracula Legacy and Blood and Frankenstein Creation of the Damned. All right, like I said, that was pretty easy, but I still hope it was fun to play along. So now it's time for me to turn it back over to the Fear and Beer crew and on with the episode.
Hello there, Fear and Beer listeners and fellow HHN fans. My name is Maddox, or Mads, I'm fine with either. And my trivia category for you all is going to be focusing on the iceberg that is haunted house history throughout Halloween Horror Nights. I hope you've all been paying attention in the schoolhouse, because, ready or not, here we go. Question number 1. There are a few house locations throughout the event's history that have only ever had one house in them. Name any of them. Name any of those house locations. Bonus points if you can name all of them. Question number 2. What was the first soundstage to be split in two to have two houses within it? Example, Soundstage 24, as we all know, has been splitting houses since 2014. But what was the first soundstage to do that? Question number 3. In the event's history, there are two houses that had the exact same name, and they were in the exact same location, yet they had absolutely zero relation with one another. What was that house name? Question number 4. Which of the classic monsters was the first to get their very own standalone house? And question number 5, the hardest one of the bunch. What was the last minute house in 2018? And what did it replace, if it replaced anything at all? Go ahead and take your time with these questions. I know some of these are pretty niche, but that's what comes with trivia. And now for the answers. For question number 1, there are some house locations that have only ever had one house within them. Those house locations are Soundstage 18 with Where Evil Hides, Soundstage 44 with Horror Nights Nightmares, The Boneyard with, well, the house was called The Boneyard, Poseidon's Fury with The Terror Mines, and, well, quite frankly, this year, there's two new house locations that technically will have only ever had one house in them. Sprung Tent 3 and Sprung Tent 4, with Goblin's Feast and Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. Question number 2. What was the first soundstage to be split for two houses in the event's history? The answer to that would be Soundstage 22 in 1998, with Universal's Museum of Horror, Chamber of Horrors, and Universal's Museum of Horror, Unnatural History. Question number 3. There are two houses that have had the exact same name, and they were in the exact same location, yet they had zero relation with one another. That would be Doomsday in both 1999 and 2008. One of them was an original house, one of them was based on the movie of the same name. Question number 4. Which of the classic monsters was first to get their very own standalone house? That would be The Mummy in 1999, based on the Brendan Fraser movie. And finally, question number 5. What was the last minute house in 2018, and what did it replace, if anything? Now, I'll fully admit this one was a bit of a trick question. I'm sorry if it got some of you. But the answer to that would be Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And, if you believe the rumors, it didn't replace anything. Supposedly Shrek 4D was supposed to close. It didn't. And so Universal decided, well, might as well put our 10th house back in the second theater. And that's how we got Halloween 4. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. I hope you guys enjoyed these trivia questions. And I'll see you in the fog. This is Mads, signing off.
Hey everyone, it's Nick. Hopefully you remember that voice. This category that I'm going to be doing is a little bit, it's Horror Nights adjacent. View it as somewhat homework because we are going to be talking about Insidious. Now, these questions are about the franchise itself and not the Horror Nights house in the past and not from the compilation back in the day when they did the Blumhouse versions. This is about the movie franchise as a whole, a franchise that I hold near and dear to my heart, and these are some easy questions, some tricky questions, but I love movie trivia, and I'm excited to ask you guys these questions. So, without further ado, let's get into these questions for the Insidious category. What was the original title of Insidious going to be? Question number 2. Who sings the song Tiptoe Through the Tulips? Which I'm sure by the end of the season you will all be sick of, if you're not already. Question number 3. Joseph Bishara portrays the lipstick-faced demon throughout this series, but he also played another key role in this franchise. What was that other role? Question number 4. We are haunted by the bride in black during Insidious Chapter 2. What is that character's actual name? And finally, question number 5. Specs and Tucker team up with Elise to form a paranormal investigation business. What is that company's name? All right. Let's go through these answers for you. Question number 1. What was the original title of Insidious going to be? And the answer is... it's the name of the house this year. It was going to be called The Further. Question number 2. Who sings the song Tiptoe Through the Tulips? The answer is Tiny Tim. Not from A Christmas Carol. A much different, more sinister, weird-sounding Tiny Tim. Question number 3. Joseph Bishara portrays the lipstick-faced demon throughout the series, but he also played another key role in this franchise. What was that other role? And that role, iconic. He was the composer of all of the movies in this franchise. That just horrendous sounding intro, the screeches, the organs, the horns, the strings, all of that was done by the lipstick-faced demon himself. Question number 4. We are haunted by the bride in black during Insidious Chapter 2. What is that character's actual name? And that character's name was Parker Crane. Question number 5 to round out the Insidious round. Specs and Tucker team up with Elise to form a paranormal investigation business. What is the company's name? And that would be Spectral Sightings. Hopefully you did good on that one. Hopefully you're ready to venture into the further in just a few more days. And we'll see how you do for the rest of this. I'm very curious how trivia's going. Are you doing okay? Do you need a little pick-me-up? Do you need a that-a-boy? Well, good job. No matter where you're at score-wise, you're number 1 in my heart. Guys, we'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Hey, ghouls and witches. It's Nikki from Haunt Girls. Hi! That is going to be Haunt Girls Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Haunt Girls on YouTube. I am so excited to be hosting this category of Fear and Beer's HHN trivia. My category is Women of HHN. Are we shocked? I hope not. My first question is, when was Chance's first appearance at HHN? I'm looking for the event year, guys. When was Chance's first appearance at HHN? That would be HHN 17. Chance's first appearance at HHN was during Jack's Carnival of Carnage back in 2007 in HHN 17. All right, on to the next question. What is the name of the pyro group that joins the cast of Nightmare Fuel during HHN? What is the name of the pyro group that joins the cast of Nightmare Fuel during HHN? That group would be the amazing Fuel Girls from the UK. I always love seeing them in Nightmare Fuel. All right. My third question is, what year was Lady Luck the icon of? I'm looking for the event year again, guys. What year was Lady Luck the icon of? That answer would be HHN 21. Lady Luck was the icon of HHN 21. All right, we're on to our last two questions. When did Cindy Kane first appear in HHN? I'm looking for the event year again, guys. When did Cindy Kane first appear in HHN? The answer to that would be HHN 13. Cindy first appeared in HHN 13 in the Scream House Revisited house. That's a throwback right there. Okay, guys, my last question. What is the storyteller's full real name? Again, I'm looking for the full name. What is the storyteller's full real name? The storyteller's full real name would be Elizabeth or Elsa Strict. Elizabeth or Elsa Strict. All right, guys, I hope those weren't too tough for you. I know there's a few easies and a few not so easies in there. I'll repeat my questions and answers once again so you guys can get those scores in. First question was, when was Chance's first appearance at HHN? And that was HHN 17. Second question, what is the name of the pyro group that joins the cast of Nightmare Fuel for HHN? And that would be the Fuel Girls. Third question, what year was Lady Luck the icon of? And that was, of course, HHN 21. Fourth question, when did Cindy Kane first appear in HHN? And that was way back in HHN 13. And my last question what was the storyteller's full real name? And that was Elizabeth or Elsa Strict. All right, guys. Hope you guys are having a great time playing trivia. I'll see you guys in the fog. Thank you again, Fear and Beer. Bye.
What is up, everyone? It is Jamie from Fear and Beer. Thank you so much for tuning in this week for our week-long podathon that we've been working tirelessly on to get out for you guys and get some content done before opening nights. Today, we are going to be doing our trivia episode, which you've probably heard from our other lovely guests that we've had on for this episode as well. So for my category, I'm going to be doing HHN IP. So this is going to be throughout the years, different IPs that we've seen at Horror Nights. It's going to be questions kind of relating to the film, but also kind of relating to different scenes that were in the houses. So let's get started. So the first question is, what was the name of the cemetery in Dead Silence, which was also featured in the house at HHN 17? Again, that was what was the name of the cemetery in Dead Silence, which was also featured in the house at HHN 17. Question 2. What does Shorty disguise himself as in Killer Clowns from Outer Space? This was also a scene in the house at HHN 29. What does Shorty disguise himself as in Killer Clowns from Outer Space? This was also a scene in the house at HHN 29. Okay, so for this third question, just to preface that this is going to be specifically for HHN Orlando relating to this question. So, what year did we see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time? Again, this is just for HHN Orlando, but what year did we see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time? Question number 4. This was also based specifically for Orlando. How many times was The Walking Dead featured at HHN as a house? Again, how many times was The Walking Dead featured at HHN as a house? And question number 5. What was the name of the family in House of a Thousand Corpses? Again, what was the name of the family in House of a Thousand Corpses? All right. So, this is probably the easiest episode that we've done for this whole podathon, but this has actually been really fun because I basically got to come up with questions about movies that I really enjoy and houses that we've seen at Horror Nights, and I just can't thank you guys enough for listening and following along with us. Again, special thanks to all our guests that we had on for this episode as well. I can't wait to see everyone in the fog. It's close. It's soon. I can't wait to see you all, and thanks again for listening.
And to review those answers, question 1, what was the name of the cemetery in Dead Silence, which was also featured in the house at HHN17? And that would be Raven's Fair. Question 2, what does Shorty disguise himself as in Killer Clowns from Outer Space? This was also a scene in the house at HHN29, and that would be a pizza box. What year did we see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time at HHN Orlando? And that would be 2007. Question 4. How many times was The Walking Dead featured at HHN as a house? And that would be 5 times. And then finally, question number 5. What was the name of the family in House of a Thousand Corpses? And of course, that is the Firefly family. Well, how did everybody do? Were those scores as high as you expected? Did you get a perfect score? Let us know. I'd love to see how you guys did because you probably would have done a lot better than I would have done. I'm terrible at retaining information, but thank you again for everybody that submitted questions. Thank you out to Maddox, Nikki from Honk Girls, Cece from See With The Pod, Matt from the legendary Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, Dakota and Lauren from the Horror Nights Gauntlet, Simon from the HHE podcast, and of course, the whole Fear and Beer crew. Thank you for following along on our 1 week until HHN Podathon. We are so close to the fog. I can almost smell it. And we can't really do our typical sign-off because not everybody's with me. It's sad, I know. But check back tomorrow. We have another episode coming at you where we're going to go into the food and beverage. Well, at least I hope that's what we're going to do because at the time of recording, those menus still have not been released. So, hopefully by the time this episode is out, we have some stuff to talk about. Well, I'm going to try and do the outro anyways. But until next time, this is Nick. I paused, still waiting, as if somebody else was going to call and answer me on that one. It just doesn't work that way when you're recording by yourself. But until next time, this is Nick. Happy haunts.
This place is cursed. It's got a death curse.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare,
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.